welcome back to my channel. I am finally filming the video talking about my microblading experience. So I know I look a little bit different right now because I got my natural hair out, no makeup. I have on eyelashes, but that's it, because I didn't want to film my eyebrows in before I filmed this video, so you can see exactly what it looks like on an everyday basis with no makeup on. So I have zero makeup on, just eyelashes, and you know, I'm just embracing the natural look today. So I apologize for all these story time versions of the stuff that I got done up until now, but at the time I was filming, but I couldn't really do like a live talk through for these videos, so it's easier if I just do a story time. So story time, I will insert a picture of what my eyebrows look like before right now. So that picture was the picture that I sent in before I got my eyebrows microbladed, and basically I had no hair whatsoever in the eyebrow area. It was very sparse, and that is literally my eyebrow fully grown out. So basically I had no eyebrows. I get that from my mom and my grandpa. I'll try to insert, if I can find a picture of them and their eyebrows, I'll try to insert a picture, but I always fill my eyebrows in since, you know, eyebrows became like super big, because you know, back in the day nobody was really like filling in their eyebrows. They were actually plucking them until it was almost nothing there, so everybody had these stringy, like drawn on eyebrow type, not really thick eyebrows. So you know, as time progressed, people started caring more about what their eyebrows looked like, and I had none. So there's nothing really I could do to fix my eyebrows. I would get them waxed, but I mean, I didn't have much hair to get them waxed in the first place. Hey Titan, what's up? Did you want to be in this video too? Huh? Go lay down. Go lay down, please. Thank you. Why you always gotta get attitude? Okay, so I used to get my eyebrows waxed all the time, but it was just, to me, pointless, because when they took too much hair off, when I already didn't have any, it wasn't really helpful. But at the same time, when I was drawing on my eyebrows for a long time, they would come out uneven and just, they were really crazy. It was a struggle. And if you knew me back then and you still know me now, thank you for sticking around me while I went through my terrible eyebrow phase. So I decided to wait until I moved to Las Vegas to get my eyebrows done, because I knew that there would be somebody here who could do microblading, who's probably more qualified than somebody in Mississippi, which is where I moved from to get here. So I decided to wait, and as soon as I got here, I started doing my research, even more research than I had done before, because I was researching different people who did microblading, but I wanted to make sure I went to like the best person I possibly could in this area. So I did my research, looked up a couple different microblading shops, looked up a couple microblading facilities and individuals who were like posting on Instagram, and I narrowed it down to a girl named Jen. She works at Spade Tattoo. I'll put the address below, but you can, and I'll also put her Instagram name below, but you can go check out all her work, all her microblading. She's really great. She's like booked all the time. I even got her schedule like down pat, so that every time I need to go get my eyebrows filled in again or refilled, I always just check her schedule and I know like when she's booking. So I will insert a clip of the first time I went. Basically what she does is she brings you in to her shop. She asks you for inspiration pics. So I had a couple, it was basically her work, so I just show her like 3 pictures of her work that she did previously, and that gave her an idea of what I was looking for. I need some water. Anyway, that basically gave her an idea of what I was looking for. She took out all her tools. She has like a ruler, she has like pencils and other stuff that she uses to mark, to make sure that your eyebrows look even before she even starts. So she does the space in between, the space on the sides, at the top. She just makes sure everything lines up nicely. So I don't have any clips of that because obviously I couldn't really film her doing it, or I didn't know if she was comfortable with me filming her doing it while I was like literally getting it done. So she took out all her tools, we did the measurements, she did a basic outline of how they were going to look. She gives me a mirror, then when she gives me the mirror I can tell her, oh, I don't like this part, or this part is too low, or this part is too square. So you give her an idea of what you want, and then she goes from there. I'll insert a clip of me getting the numbing cream, because after you get all the measurements done and she does all the outlines, she gives you numbing cream. It sits on your eyebrow area for about 10 minutes, and then she gets started with the microblading process. So we are in Nacho Daddy. I literally just got my eyebrows done. You can't even see them good. But yeah, we're going to chill out. Yeah, like I said, I literally just got my eyebrows done. They're gonna heal, they're gonna lighten up, and yeah. So after you sit there with the numbing cream on for like 10 to 15 minutes, she takes the plastic wrap off, and then that's when she starts the microblading process. For me, the first time I went, it kind of stung a little bit, but not really. It feels like if you were just getting scraped by like a tiny needle, which is exactly what it is. It just feels like that on this top part, you know, where your eyebrow is. Sometimes this part, which is where the arch is, probably hurt the worst. The front, for the most part, was fine, and the ends, it like burned, but it wasn't that bad. Overall, I would say the pain of it is probably like a 3 out of 10. Like, it's bearable. And the second time you go back though for like the fill-in, if you're spaded a little bit too much the first time you went, I would say that pain is probably about a 4 or 5 out of 10. So just be aware of that if you have to go back and get your eyebrow touched up because the ink faded too fast. Just know the second half of that was definitely more painful than the first. So overall, my experience with getting microblading is just something I would never change, and I will always go back to get my eyebrows filled in because I have struggle brows. Like, obviously you can't tell right now because I, you know, got my microblading done, but I never want to go back to not having eyebrows ever again. And I almost cried the first time I got my eyebrows done because Jen saw what I had before and she just basically made it happen, and I was like, you changed my life. I was spending probably like 30 minutes every day like filling my eyebrows in and trying to make sure they get even and just doing craziness. And it was taking me so long to get ready for work because I was so insecure about my eyebrows and just the shape of them and just not having any hair there. And microblading basically changed my life on that whole perspective of just not having any eyebrows. So I was so happy when I was done. I was so happy when I was done, but at the same time, it looked weird for like 2 weeks because I'm just not used to having hair there. So the fact that I did have hair there all of a sudden, or brush-like strokes of ink to replace my no eyebrow that I didn't have before, it was definitely weird and something I had to get used to. But now I couldn't imagine myself going back to not having any eyebrow like I had before. But yes, so after that, your eyebrows are red for probably about 2 days, and then on the 3rd day you'll start to see scarring. So if you ever had a tattoo before, which I never had one before, this is like my first tattoo, which is my eyebrows. It's the same process. The skin starts to scar up, and then the ink starts to flake a little bit, and then it falls off. So I'll put a clip in of me, I believe it was 3 or 4 days after I got my initial microblading. So in the clip you can see I have different chunks of like my eyebrow falling off, and it looks really dark, which I mean honestly I didn't mind the darker look because obviously I have darker skin, but it's not gonna stay like that. Just like a tattoo, it has to fade. And if you have lighter skin, it'll look darker, but if you have darker skin, it can only look so dark. So it starts to flake off, and then you basically get what I have now. The second time I went to get my touch-up, we learned that I needed to let the ink sit longer on my skin than what we're used to, or what Jen's used to, because I have darker skin and my skin was really oily. So just for me personally, I wouldn't recommend everybody doing this. They give you A&D ointment. I don't put the A&D ointment on. Now, this probably does put me at some risk for infection if I were to do something crazy while I'm waiting for my eyebrows to heal, but I don't do anything crazy, so to me it's not that big of a deal. Now I'm not a doctor and I wouldn't recommend that you don't use the A&D ointment, but we just found that the amount of time she recommended it to me to put the ointment on was too much because my skin was already oily in this area. So it was just making the ink come off even faster and making my eyebrow fade a lot more. So when I went back for the touch-up, she left the ink on longer and recommended that I try to use the ointment less than the first time. So that was the first 2 times. The 3rd time I went back to get my touch-up, I didn't put any of the ointment on after the first day. So the first day she does your eyebrows. She doesn't put anything on them after she's done. She just gives you the ointment and you can put it on at night or whenever you get home. So I just put it on the first day, and then after that I just left my eyebrows alone because I just find that my skin is way too oily for that, and if I want the ink to stay in place a lot longer, then I need to just lay off on the ointment. So this finished product right here is after going 3 times, so the initial and then 2 touch-ups. I got my 3rd touch-up after about 9 months. Some people can go 1 to 2 years, but for me, I don't have to go as often as I do, but I really don't want mine to fade because I have no eyebrow underneath here. So I try to go back as soon as possible, or as soon as I see. I try to go back as soon as possible, or as soon as I see or feel like the microblading is fading a lot more than what I want it to. It's still nice though because I'll still have the outline there, so I can still see where I need to do my makeup and fill in parts of the eyebrow, but I still need to make sure that I'm staying on a regular schedule of getting the touch-ups when I feel it's necessary. Back for this third touch-up, Jen was happy to see me because she was saying that a lot of people wait too long before they come back to get their touch-up. You don't really want your touch-up to be like the initial appointment that you had, so it's better if you just go back when you feel like it's time for you to go back. Plus, to me, when you go back for the touch-up, it's a lot faster. You don't have to sit as long and wait for her to finish doing her strokes, which, I mean, she can do a touch-up in like 30 minutes, so it's not that bad anyway. And plus, I just don't want those original strokes to fade so much that I'm back to my original no eyebrow self, which I don't ever want to be back there again. So I'm just going to keep going to Jen at Black Spade Tattoo. I will put all the information down below. Pricing, I believe for the initial microblading session, I paid $475. Somewhere in there was a tip, so I think it came out to about $460, and then I gave her a $15 tip. And basically her prices range from $300 to $500. So depending on how much work she has to do to give you that eyebrow look that you want, the more you have to pay. Me, I had no eyebrows whatsoever, so I'm surprised it didn't cost me the full $500. But honestly, it was worth every penny, and I'd do it again. I believe for the touch-ups I paid, oh man, I'll have to go back and look, maybe $175 to probably around $300. I'm gonna say that's the range. I can't really remember, but that's once a year. This lasts up to a year, and you don't have to go back and get yours touched up like mine. Like, honestly, if you had hair in your general eyebrow area and you got microblading once a year, you should be fine. But I have no hair in this area, like nothing really grows, so I need to go back and get mine touched up as much as I feel like it's necessary, or when I see it fading. So yes, price wise is the initial cost of getting it done was between $300 and $500, and then touch-ups can range between, I believe, $100 to $300. So some people may think that is just like a crazy, ridiculous price to pay, but like you saw in that first picture, I had nothing there, so I have to do what I gotta do to make it look like I have some eyebrows at all times, because I cannot tell you how stressful it was doing my eyebrows every single day. So now that I don't have to, it's a time saver, it's much less of a burden, I'm using less product, and when I fill my eyebrows in, it takes me probably 5 minutes versus 30. So I definitely would pay the price to get it done again if I had to. So I will keep up with the touch-ups. Actually, I need to look and see when I need to go back, because I think I'm just going to keep it on an every 9-month schedule. Every 9 months I'll go back and get a touch-up, because that, to me, that's when I feel like I need to get it done. So that was my microblading experience. I've gone 3 times. Every time I come out of there, I'm super impressed. I will leave all of Jen's information down below. I will even leave their email address, because that's the best way to get in contact with her, is through like her secretary. So you just email their I think it's like their company email address. You email that, and then the person will email you back and tell you her availability. Now, she does book 3 months out, so you have to be aware that sometimes they have to cut off her booking for 3 months, and then she'll open it back up for new clients. if you're a returning client, it's easier to get an appointment because she does touch-up appointments every Friday and I believe every Saturday, but I may be misspeaking, but I know I went and got mine done on a Friday. So it's easier to get in the touch-up appointments because you just go in on a Friday, she gets you in and gets you out. If you're doing your initial appointment though, you have to make sure you're in that 3-month window in order to get a seat with her, or get a spot with her, I should say. But overall, it's not the most painful thing. Plus beauty is pain. I'd say just getting the touch up for the third time, it wasn't that bad, but definitely getting the second touch up, it was kind of painful because you go back a month after you got the initial, so all the skin and tissue isn't healed. So that was painful, but it was totally worth it. And just letting that ink sit a little bit longer if you have darker skin is something that I highly recommend. So I hope that was short, simple, and to the point. I will insert all the clips necessary to complete this video, and I appreciate you all for watching and just seeing all this naturalness going on. If you have any questions, please leave them down below in the description box and I will answer them as soon as possible. Again, thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.